welcome back to the Cheesy Sasquatch. Kind of continuing the series here, talking about the current roster with OTAs, mandatory minicamp, things like that going on for teams. Going to be going through the Packers here and then the Seahawks as well, talking about each position group. I've already talked about the quarterback room and the running backs. Moving on to the next position group here for the Packers, we have the receiving core, which is going to be an interesting group to pay attention to this year with the departure of Devontae Adams. I briefly talked about it when in a previous video. Obviously, he goes to the Raiders to reunite with Derek Carr, who was his teammate in college. It seemed like money was not an issue as the Packers, I believe, offered him more than the Raiders did, but he just wanted a change in scenery, which can't blame the guy. Has had an amazing career thus far. No Super Bowls to show for it. So eventually you want to change things up and see if you can go win one elsewhere. So that leaves this receiving room in kind of a little bit of sorts here. They currently have 8 receivers on that roster. So they have Randall Cobb, Danny Davis, who is a former Badger, Romeo Doubs, Amari Rogers going into his second year, Malik Taylor, Samori Toure, Sammy Watkins, who they picked up in this offseason, a big move there, and then Jawan Winfrey. So that's 6 guys that are currently penciled in, signed to the roster. Second round pick, Christian Watson remains the only unsigned draft pick for the Packers. I would imagine sometime in June here, if not before training camp, towards the beginning and middle of July, that they'll have some kind of contract figured out there. Not sure if it's a matter of the two sides kind of trying to agree on a number, or if it's just process of elimination. He's just the last guy that needs to get it signed. So actually there's those 8 guys. So there's actually 10 receivers total, I guess, tied to the Packers. So that first list of guys before Watson are all 8 roster spots. And then receiver number 10 is Alan Lazard. He has yet to sign his contract, which was offered to him a few months ago as well. So hopefully, again, by the end of June, before camp, they figure that out, because that's a guy that they definitely don't want to lose as well. So it is evident that the team will probably cut down to 8 receivers for the final roster. Having 10 is just a lot. I mean, a 51-man roster, 10 of them being receivers, that's taking up a lot of roster space. But obviously, kind of 7, 8 is that number that teams like to have, because, I mean, you could have 4 or 5 receivers on the field at a time. You need a couple extras after that just for different packages, injuries, whatever it might be, and then the practice squad as well. So this does leave leave the door open for an interesting battle. I would say Cobb, Watkins, Sammy Watkins, Malik Taylor, and then Lazard, if he returns, would be locked in to that roster as for sure spots for the receiver room. So while Amari Rogers has been a good asset in special teams, bringing back kicks and punts, I believe, all season, and then after Kylan Hill went down, he started taking back kicks as well. He did struggle to kind of break through as a true number 3 or number 4 option for Rodgers on the field. I remember a couple seemed like timely drops, just missed cues on routes, things like that. I mean, he's a rookie. He's not going to be perfect, but maybe the expectations that were set for him, he didn't quite meet them in year 1. Though I think he's right on the cusp of kind of being a lock for the Packers, but I wouldn't say he's a for sure lock, to where if some of these other guys have a better training camp, maybe they let him go, or he falls down to the practice squad. Cobb, obviously, amazing chemistry with Rodgers, but with size and age, isn't a guy who's going to take the top off the D as a deep threat. That's where Lazard really comes in with his size and speed. especially with Adams being gone and Valdez-Scantling being gone. He is now a Kansas City Chief. So they really need somebody who can go over the top on defenses. And I think Lazard, again, hoping he comes back, is going to be that guy. But even again, for him, not being tenured to the team, he hasn't shown that he can really be a number one receiver for the Packers either yet. But again, kind of being in the shadow of Devontae Adams, it's kind of hard to get those number one receiver looks and reps. So, so long as he gets that contract signed soon, I would say between him and Watkins, they're going to be kind of a 1A, 1B for that go-to for Rodgers. And obviously Cobb, despite the chemistry with Rodgers for years in his first stint and now coming back for his second stint in Green Bay, he's, again, not that number one guy. He's more of a slot receiver, situational, good third down, coming across the field, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would say giving this receiver room a grade, I would give it a B right now. Again, some solid guys, some depth, really young. Cobb, I mean, being the oldest guy on the squad. Sammy Watkins, kind of in the prime of his career, maybe coming towards the end of it a little bit. But nonetheless, young guys all have a really good chance during OTAs and camp to make a name for themselves. Really excited to see how they do. But yeah, I give them a B just with Adams being gone and it kind of just being a little bit of a gray area of wondering who's going to be 1, 2, 3, where in years past it was kind of laid out and we knew who Rodgers' go-to guy was, who his second read was going to be, things like that. So yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think about the grading for the Packers receivers. Are you satisfied with their current room? Should they go pick up another guy, maybe switch it out for a younger guy that hasn't really done anything yet in the league? Yeah, let me know down in the comments. Not only about the receiver room, Packers as a whole, how do you think they're going to do this year, things like that. Yeah, appreciate you guys all stopping in. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out all my other videos as well. Again, I talked about the quarterbacks, receivers, or quarterbacks, running backs, and now receivers. But check out my other videos as well, giving hot takes on current trends and topics in the sports world as well. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.